Greetings and welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. Many times we can find ourselves hiding our brilliance, sometimes not even discovering it in the first place. Natalie Joberty has made it her life's work to help women unveil their brilliance in different aspects as an image consultant, brand strategist, author, and a transformative life coach. She joins us now to share her why, as well as some tips and tricks that may inspire you to shine. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Joberty. And it may seem connected now, sitting, looking back a little bit, but what started you on your journey of empowering women?
Wow, what a question, DK. So it's been a long journey. And like you mentioned earlier, I worked as an image consultant for many years. And that's, I think, where I started to see the seed of my purpose in life and my impact on women. And during that time, I observed all the ways that women played small. Now, back then, it was mostly about how they looked and how they presented themselves and how they dressed for success and their confidence levels. But as a transformational leadership coach, it became so evident that the same challenges that they faced back then are the same ones that they struggle with professionally: the confidence, the insecurities, the low imposter, the not understanding how brilliant they are, the not seeing how exceptional and distinctive their particular skills are. And for some reason, I have been gifted with seeing potential very clearly, and understanding people's wiring. And so that's one of the things I bring as a coach. And in knowing all these things and seeing the different women I was interacting with, um, somewhere along the way, this idea of me being this brilliance unveiler became very evident. And I think the heart of what it is my why has always been about my impact. I've always wanted to make a difference in the way I was meant to, in my domain, my sphere of influence. It was always something that was important to me. And the why is now extended to not just about my impact, but when I work with women and when they read my book or when they interact with all the things I produce, that their impact will be maximized or multiplied or be more impactful, because I care about all of our impact. Because when we're all brilliant, when we all can shine, that's when we know we're all doing it right. And that's when we could all be, in a different level of experience with each other and with the life and with the world that we're in.
But sometimes, and I take the point that you're saying a rising tide floats all boats. But some people have that, but they want their boat to be a little higher. So in the sense that you say you're gifted with seeing brilliance in individuals, what is it that actually sparked the transition from image consultant to transformational leadership coach, as opposed to just saying, okay, well, if I do this with this person, I'll be able to get this, and literally manipulating people to raise your stock?
Oh my gosh, it's not about me at all. It never was ever about me. So as an image consultant, people would look at me. I had my own style, I had my own look, I had my own colors that I liked, but it was always about, what do you like? What do you want? What are your goals? So how do we make sure you're dressing to achieve your goals? What are your tastes? What are your preferences? What is your figure type? I'm 6 feet tall. Most women are not like me. And that's one of the reasons why I was so good at what I did as an image consultant, because I had to dress my own body, especially grew up in Trinidad and having clothes fit me like flooding all the time. So I learned how to navigate my body, my proportions, my figure. And then for some reason, I realized I'm really good at shopping for other people with different sizes. My family members have different sizes. I could shop for them, away from them, and get the right things for their style, their shape. So it never was about me. And so, but in doing that work, it was about raising their visual presentation. Now it's about the inner coming out, their inner brilliance shining out. So a lot of the work actually is more internal and more mindset and more confidence building than it even is about branding and all the other things that I actually can do very well as well. If one of the things I've seen so clearly over and over again, and even with my own journey in my own life, is until our interaction with ourselves, our security in ourselves, our belonging with ourselves, until that is strong and found, until we can own and fully embrace our own brilliance and know it for what it is, but not from an ego place, but from a service, heart centered, sovereign place, a more aware, self aware place, the game is going to be different and our impact is going to be so much greater. So it's never about me, and it's not even about the individual. It's about collectively what is the impact we can make as women, as people, as beings on this earth, and how can we make the impact that we uniquely designed to make in an authentic way, but serving the people we're meant to serve.
It's one thing to say, okay, well, I have this experience, I'm building these skills, I see this about myself, and it's about others, it's not about you. But it can be something totally different to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to write a book. So speak to that inspiration. It's your time to shine in terms of like sharing your story with others.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. So I've always been a writer. This is my second book. And this book took a long time in terms of understanding what I was supposed to write because I knew I wanted to write a second book, a book more meaningful to me, but I was struggling with, well, what's the topic? What am I going to focus on? And then as I share in the introduction to the book, it kind of revealed itself to me as I was doing this kind of like video interactive course with writing the table of contents. And for me, once I have my table of contents solid, I'm good to go. I can write anything. And but this was a table of contents that was giving me the struggle the whole time. And I knew the kind of challenges and things I was experiencing with my work as a leadership coach with women, and I knew those were important. Like the whole first section of the book is know. It's about knowing who you are. It's about confidence building. It's about silencing your imposter. It's about knowing your strengths, right? So there was that part, but then the other parts I wasn't as sure about. But those became very evident to me as I was doing that table of contents exercise. And what is interesting is I ended up using some references from my past experience as an image consultant and even my last book, weaving it in as a sort of like a tapestry of this is a leadership empowerment book, but of course, image and image presentation comes into play as part of leadership and leading others. And it makes the book more relevant and more interesting to most people. And what was the most surprising thing was I shared way more of my stories than I had ever planned on. I'd never planned on it being about me at all on my journey. But what ended up happening is, as I wanted to make sure I was connecting with readers, I found myself saying, well, I went through this, I went through this. And next thing you know, I'm writing little examples from my life, my young life, my teenage life, my young adult life, my more seasoned life. And I finished the book, but I wasn't really aware of how much of my journey I had put in there until one of the reviewers said, this part memoir. And I was like, part memoir? It's not a memoir. It's not a memoir. But there's a lot of my story because I wanted to make sure one of my biggest values is being authentic and being as transparent as is appropriate in the thing I'm doing. And I experienced so much the hard part, wanting to play small, wanting to not be 6 feet tall, wanting to just curl up in the shadows and hide myself for so long. I had to share my journey of unveiling my own brilliance so that the reader would know that as an author, yes, and as a coach, I have all this expertise, but I've also walked the same journey that they have walked. And so that they can relate to me as a writer and author and as a woman who understands what they're going through.
But do you feel the need to craft that message any differently when you're having a one-on-one, you're doing a coaching session with an individual versus saying, okay, well, you you want to do it in a book, so you're not sure, you've never met the person who's looking at it now. Do you feel the need to do it any differently?
It is very different one to one because I say in my copy somewhere, I don't do cookie cutter. My approach is so customized. So when I do one-on-one work, it's about who is that woman? What is she about? What is her expertise? What are her strengths? What are her key goals? What is her vision for her life? What is her impact that she's desiring to make? It's so customized that literally, depending on the client I'm working with, my approach can be entirely different because at the end of the day, my goal and my purpose is to serve that client to make sure that her vision and her impact is designed and cultivated in a way that she can shine. So I use whatever God, the gifts of God have given me, all the many gifts that I have, and my own expertise as in corporate America, my own journey, but all the skills I have as an intuitive, as a brand strategy person, all these things I bring to the table in my brilliance. And so, yes, writing the book is, I don't know who's reading my book. So the book is more general, obviously, and it's more to professional women. But honestly, the more I put the book out there, men read the book, young girls have read the book. So it's a book that's really a leadership empowerment book for anybody who desires to see to know that I have what it takes. I'm equipped. I am designed. I am qualified to do things that may be scary to me, that may seem a lot for me, but I can do it because it's my time to shine. And that's the key message. So honestly, anybody can take that message and could read the stories and the tips and the tools in there and craft it towards their own life and experience, because there's so much practical, down to earth knowledge that I've put in this book and references to other material as well. Anybody can benefit, DK. And so it's it as deep as you want to go with this book, you can go,
I like the
if that
fact
makes
that you
sense.
say you also put you cite references that people can go to help them on their journey. But we continue the conversation when we return. Stay with us. We are speaking about unveiling brilliance with Natalie Joberty. We return after this. Welcome back. We are speaking with the 6-foot-tall brilliance unveiler, Natalie Joberty. And you spoke about your own experience. And why do you think that many professional women play it small, Natalie?
That is the question of the ages, because I think it's a lot of it has to do with the systemic um, biases. You know, we've all, whether it's Trinidad, whether it's the US, we've all been brought up in structures and systems that are really male centric and male designed. And so many women, because we as genders, we all know that we're different. Many women struggle in those environments and structures because it was never meant for us to really truly shine. Yes, we can work and work hard and do the thing, but in terms of us thriving and shining, many of the professional environments that we are put in are not designed for our brilliance to be fully exposed and fully integrated and experienced. And so I believe that many women play small. And I know for me, it was a lot of times it could be what who you were around, what you've been told growing up, the culture you were raised in. All these things influence the narratives that you tell yourself, the stories you made up in your mind about what am I able to do and who am I able to be. Now, in my time, and I'm quite an older woman in my, well, I wouldn't say the actual decade right now, but quite old. And I was told by my father going to college that I could choose from only three topics degrees: accounting, law, or medicine. Those are my choices, and he was paying, so I had to abide by it. And I don't regret. I'm a smart girl. I did accounting, but I always knew that accounting was not my jam. It was not the place that I would thrive. So end up going on a whole other journey into marketing research, which was my career for 15 plus years, and I was great at my job. But even when I was doing that, I knew this is not it either. Like I could see other people who were like, it was totally their thing. But I always knew was I'm good at this, I'm good at that. I could work this out. I went up the ranks, but it was never my career. And so the whole pivot to image consulting was me literally believing in myself and my own brilliance at that point in my life to say, I'm going to jump ship from a very steady career and branch out into my own endeavor and do something that most people don't even know exists and become an image consultant. And that was its own courageous, challenging journey. But yes, it's I think it's so hard for many of us to play big and to truly shine, because so much of it is. I've worked with women who have done amazing things. They have all the expertise you could ever want. You would look at their resume and be like totally impressed. And I will say, "What are you good at?" And they look at me like, "I don't know." And I'm literally like, "What do you mean you don't know?" I'm looking at your resume and you've done all these things. So many of us, we know how to do the work, DK, but we don't know how to take a step back and be like, in our agency and authority and self confidence, say, I am good at this. I am meant to do this. My purpose is this. And take it all in and do it. The playing small is because we don't have enough voices in our ear saying, yes, you can. You are able, you're equipped, you're qualified, you can do this. We don't have enough voices. So many of us, and with each around each other, we end up being competitors and not camaraderies and, sisters as much as we should be.
And from what you're saying, I want to ask how much of a radical shift is it? Because sometimes they say if you want something done, give it to a busy person. So you don't always have the opportunity, like you're saying, to step back and look, I did that. I did that well. But how much of a radical shift is it to say, okay, well, as opposed to just doing the work, you're saying, okay, well, I am shining, I am brilliant, and it is just what it is, as opposed to saying, okay, well, you're being cocky, that person full of ego, who she feels she is.
Right.
Explain that shift to me, because especially since we're talking about transformational leadership as well.
Yeah. Good question. So it is a shift. It's a mindset shift. So I know growing up in Trinidad and Tobago that I was taught not to brag, not to even say, oh, I came first or third or whatever in tests, whatever it is, whatever thing I achieved. It was like, yeah, that's me. Be very meek about it. I am all about meekness and humility, of course. But there's a difference between humility and playing small, a difference between meekness and humbleness and literally flying below the radar. So it's a huge mindset shift in when I am confident and self assured and have a healthy growth mindset about myself and others, I can now adopt a leadership posture. And a leadership posture is all about others, not about self. It's about how do I uplift and elevate others and not myself as a leader. That's what leadership is to me. And so many of us can't even see ourselves in that role of leadership. And leadership is a broad term. But so many of us have learned to use that term from well, I don't have this degree or I don't have this whatever. That's not what it's about. It's about what am I able to do? What can I accomplish? Who can I serve? And who am I in my brilliance? And so this notion of, having to self promote and put myself out there and be visible. I have the voice in my head sometimes that says to me, Natalie, people want to think you're boasting or you're being arrogant, but I know myself. One of my values is authenticity and humility because that's my life's journey is all about getting more humbled. And so I am never an arrogant person. I can be perceived as arrogant by the wrong people, and I have to just accept that everybody wouldn't accept me or know who I am and what I'm doing, but those who do, that's who I am for. That's who I serve. And so each one of us, not just me, every one of us, every woman who knows she has leadership potential, and most of us do, and all of us who know that we're meant to have an impact in our sphere, we have to drown out, silence those narratives that told us we aren't supposed to step out, stand up, speak out, because that's what it takes to be that trailblazer, to be that game changer, to be that way maker for others. It requires being uncomfortable, being visible. And not all of us are extroverts. I'm an introvert. I don't like doing all this speaking stuff actually, but because it's in service to my mission to get my message out, I do it. So it's about a healthy, strong, self aware mindset first and foremost. And from that place, from that sovereignty, because it's actually about, and I say sovereignty very intentionally here, because when you can stand strong in your purpose and who you are in it, you become an unstoppable force. And even the naysayers and those who want to say the bad things about you, they are irrelevant at that point.
And we have a minute more, so I'm squeezing in this question. Explain what you mean by leverage your leadership presence.
Oh gosh, okay. How can I speak faster than I already speak? Okay. So I will say leadership presence has three main pillars, but there are many more. But the three main ones are command. Command is about my level of confidence, my self assuredness, my agency, my ability to command a room, right? So that's one part. The second part is my communication. Communication is about not about speaking, it's actually more about listening. How am I listening? How can I read people? What am I able to my nonverbal cues saying about me and my interaction with the other person. So communication is a huge part of leadership presence because you can't lead unless you can interact with people. Leadership is about people at the end of the day. So you have to be able to communicate effectively. And lastly, it's about clothing and presence. So if I'm going to have true leadership presence, my visual identity has to be aligned with what I'm bringing. So if I'm a lawyer, I look a certain way, but again, I'm always about who is it, who am I, what are my tastes and preferences within that domain. If I'm an artist, I have more reign, I have more freedom. So command, communication, clothing are the three main pillars, but there are many other mini pillars inside of those we can't get into today. But presence, the presence as your presence as a leader has the potential to be game changing because when you command the rooms, people listen to you and they take notice, and then you get to do the thing you're meant to do.
And we want to thank you for sharing your presence with us, transformational leadership coach, personal brand strategist, author, speaker, Natalie Joberty. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth with me. Thank you so much for joining us.